Welcome, everybody, to Monday, March 27th, Administrative Committee meeting. I've got Drew and Gina here with me from Council, and we've got Bill Belknap. We've got 7 items to get through today. First one is approval of the Admin Committee meeting minutes from February 27th.
They looked fine to me.
Groovy. Any concerns?
Not at all.
Love it. Okay. Consent agenda there. And we've got the approval of resolution for Moscow Police Department parking enforcement specialists and code enforcement officers to perform the function of removal of abandoned or junk vehicles. Hi, how are you?
Quite the title.
Yeah.
No, right?
Wow.
This doesn't mean you're coming after my car, right? Just 'cause
No.
it's okay, great.
No. So just a brief synopsis on this. Both our code enforcement and our parking enforcement already do parts of these processes. There's just the center part of actually requesting a tow truck to come and take the vehicle away. Has historically been done by an officer. And so we're just trying to streamline that process and lighten the load off of our patrol officers to let that happen.
How often do these requests come in?
Quite frequently.
Okay.
Yeah, not so much the junk vehicles under city code, but abandoned vehicles we deal with daily.
And do we have very many situations where we've got people living with like in their cars and I remember there was one year we were doing Ren Fair stuff and someone had parked a car we thought was abandoned and we called MPD and they were able to get a hold of the owner. And like he was living in his car. Like, do we have that happen very often where we have to?
I wouldn't say very often.
Okay.
No. And then certainly if you can tell that an individual is living out of their vehicle, it's not abandoned. That's their
Okay.
home. So we work with them on other parking regulations, making sure they're moving every 48, those kinds of things.
Awesome.
Okay.
That was my only question.
Okay.
I don't have any questions.
Okay.
And just to clarify, the resolution is required underneath Idaho law because either it's sworn police officers or a designated official. So that's the purpose of the resolution,
Just
just
for
to
the clarify.
designate that.
Love it. Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm comfortable with consent agenda. Any concerns?
Can we do that with a resolution?
Resolution, yes.
Okay, awesome.
Thank you for asking the question that I don't remember to ask.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, next up, we've got Pullman Highway Transmission Line Project bid results and contract award with Bob Bovell. Hello. How are you?
I'm doing well, thank you.
It's a big one.
Yeah, this is a big one. So today I'd like to talk to you about the Pullman Road Transmission Line project. This project is a project that we've had on our scope for a while now. It was designated as a project necessary to increase some of our capacity in our system back in the 2011 comp plan. And we about 2 years ago, got it scheduled, got it put into the CIP. The project is going to build about 1,000 feet of 24-inch line, essentially from Hatley Way all the way down to the Best Western. The line is going to be laid on the south side of the highway, behind the curb, so impacts to the highway traffic is going to be pretty light.
How about impact to the bike path?
We have told them that they have to keep the bike path open.
Okay.
We didn't want them utilizing the bike path for construction
Right.
traffic. With it being right next to the creek, we were concerned about what that would do to the pathway. And so we've told them that they have to keep the pathway open as much as possible.
Good.
So February 25th, we put this out to bid. We did get 4 bids back. We opened those bids on March 14th. And the bids were actually all pretty close. The bottom 3 bids were very close, within about a couple $100,000 of each other. So the bids range from $1,519,000 to $2,333,000. So we. This project is what's interesting about this project, or what may be confusing, is that we originally phased this project we programmed this project to be built in 2 phases. It was going to be a large project, and so it was going to be a hard hit to the capital program if we were to do it all at once. However, we were awarded the ARPA grant,
Yep.
and so we started looking at projects that we could put out to utilize that ARPA grant, and it was decided to combine these two projects together and build one big project. And so, even though it kind of seemed like it wasn't quite under budget, if you combine the two phases together, it's actually well under budget. So we did take a look at it, and we staff is recommending that we award this project for $1,519,761. About $500,000 under budget.
Awesome.
Wow, nice surprise.
And from the perspective of the system, our highest producing well now with well 10 is located on the far west side of town. All of the city's water reservoirs are located on the east side of town. So this transmission system improvement is really intended to get a 24-inch water main all the way from essentially nearly well 10 to the Vista Reservoir located on the far east side of town. So it's really part of that larger transmission improvement, with well 10 being our highest producing well that we're currently utilizing.
Excellent.
This project will also eliminate some old AC water main that we're currently concerned about as far as its durability. It's reaching its end of life.
Cool.
This project is also going to eliminate and abandon some of that as well.
AC
And Bob,
means,
yeah,
AC asbestos concrete.
oh goodness, okay.
Yeah.
Both
Yeah,
of those sound
that
good
can
to
go away.
eliminate.
Yeah,
just
let's
what we
not,
have
yeah.
in general. Yeah.
Any questions? Any questions?
Debco, have they done work here in the city before?
We have worked with Debco in the past, not for a pipe project. I can't remember offhand what project they did for us in the past. They are currently the mass earthwork contractor for the Woodbury development.
Okay.
Okay. So they're here
And
in
so
town.
they've been and they have been good to work with on that development, and so we're feel good about it.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
My only remaining question is using ARPA money. Like I'm trying to remember what our plan had been. I know our focus had been spending ARPA on infrastructure improvements where it made sense. Is this going to mean that we're not able to spend? Are we borrowing from this designated amount of ARPA money more than expected, or are we missing out on something else by spending it
No,
on
we
this?
had
Like, I don't have
allocated.
concerns on doing it.
Yeah,
but
we had allocated
big
about
picture.
3.6 million
Okay.
from the ARPA funds to water system improvements.
And
So
so we
this is
have-
just 1.5 of that will be
Ruby.
utilized for this. We do need to get those funds committed by the end of 24 and spent by the end of
I
26.
imagine we won't have a hard time finding other things to.
There'll be
commit.
another
Okay.
water main project coming forward, probably in the next meeting cycle or the one thereafter. Another
Cool.
water main, fairly costly water main project as well. So you'll see a few other phases of these projects coming forward, both this year and in future years.
Awesome. That sounds great. Any recommendations from the crew?
I think we ought to put it on consent I think it's a cool project to talk about, but we'll talk about it a lot between now and the end of the process, I'm sure. Consent.
Consent is good, and maybe we could have a look back on how we spent ARPA money once everything is
Yeah, we can give an annual
designated or-
report on
Yeah.
the project.
That sounds
Awesome.
great. Cool. Thank
Probably
you.
coming forward some conversation about the terminal project as well with
Gotcha.
respect to
Okay,
ARPA. So
good
it
to
might be
know.
a good thing for us to talk about this summer, kind of give an
Thanks, Bob.
update what we did for the grant programs for affordable housing, for water system improvements, and then as well as stormwater. There's $1 million was allocated there. So
Okay.
we can probably give you a report this summer and might have a conversation about some of the terminal funding.
Okay, that sounds good.
Sweet.
All right, next up, item number 4, Transportation Alternatives Program, North and South Mountain View Pedestrian Improvement State/Local Agreement with Nate and Elisa. Hi, welcome. I just drove the stretch of Mountain View with the new bike lanes the other day, and it's beautiful. Mountain View's looking great. I love it. And the roundabout, it's great.
extending it.
I love it.
Keep on going south.
Yeah,
Keep going.
I can.
Yeah, patience.
I'm
I think
happy.
we
I'm
almost,
happy.
as a community, need like a TED talk on how to get around the roundabout without having to slow down and go, whose turn is it? I think we need.
That'll come with
Or
time.
can we hire a mime for a couple of days? That's great.
That would be you.
I'll sign me, yeah. For other duties as a sign, sure, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll take one for the team.
So I'll just kind of introduce you to the project and kind of do the backside, and then Nate will talk to you about the specifics. So this is our actually third TAP award that we've received. The first one was the Steiner Underpass, and then we received the Highway 95 TAP grant, which is in design right now. We're working toward that. And this is our third award, basically, but we were, the state put out allowing for people to apply for 2 projects. So Nate worked really hard to find how we could put this money best to work on Mountain View as we continue to try to finish that corridor with different funds. So the transportation alternatives money is for pedestrian safety, basically. And so it's not for vehicular traffic. So I want to make that clear because a lot of people wonder why is this big pool of money being spent? And it's specific to this. So we were able to submit 2 applications and receive 2 awards. And that will take care of the areas that Nate will discuss with you. Before you today, we have the agreement that is for design and construction, and then the corresponding resolution to go along with that. So Nate will go ahead and present the project to you.
Okay, thank you very much. So, as Elisa said, this is an ITD project that's designed to provide alternative transportation projects and advance some of ITD's strategic goals. So we applied for both the TAP grants, and the 2 areas that we're talking about are both on Mountain View Drive. The first is from F Street to Slonaker, and this is on the west side only. And this would be curb, gutter, and sidewalk, as well as some guardrail at the corner where the road takes a 90-degree turn. And that one is not to exceed $845,000. And the second project is from Joseph Street, where the last project left off, to all the way to the Paradise Creek crossing. So that would take you up to where Paradise Path comes out of Heron's Hideout there. And you'll see a little more detail as I go through. So we were successful on both applications and awarded the maximum funding for a total of $1 million. So that is the remaining $710,000 we funded by the city. Now that's a high up number, a not to exceed number, that 710, and it's based on COVID pricing. So we're hoping to see a little decrease in that as we do the design this year. So we did work with ITD and LTAC to make sure that the projects were combined. So we were designing them at the same time and building them at the same time, aiming for some efficiencies there. So, and Elise mentioned the agreement and draft resolution. So, and we'll talk about, now I don't want anybody to focus on the words. They're far too small. This is just kind of a general overview of where we're starting. So from the F and Mountain View intersection here, on the west side, it's just a fairly simple curb, gutter, and sidewalk adjacent. And that continues. I skipped a slide because it's just more of the same, but then it terminates up here at Slonaker. And you can see we've moved the sidewalk away from the curb to put the guardrail in there and provide a little bit of additional protection. And then that'll require us to redo a little bit of the sidewalk here, but we'll essentially just reconnect into what the developer built with Slonaker. On the south portion, picking up from the Joseph Street, you can see here the black is existing, what was built with the project. That's narrowing down as we leave the intersection cross section. And here we'd be proposing 6-foot sidewalks on each side, as well as curb gutter and some necessary storm drainage. So you can see down here at Lemhi Herald, we have a similar thing: curb returns, storm collection, and pathway. And then finally, when you get to the south end here, this is where Paradise Path comes out of Heron's Hideout here. We'll be installing a mid-block crossing here with a pedestrian beacon similar to what was installed up at 7th Street.
Awesome.
So we had been in talks with the county to discuss a pathway up here. They're currently not particularly interested in that, but there will be continuing discussions as we figure out what they're interested in. So, and that's it. Any
Just to-
questions on that?
Well, I was just going to share that section on Lemhi where the sidewalk will go in, and Joseph right there. Anytime it floods, that area, the storm drain and that will get replaced, has been a flooding area for us. And we've received reimbursement from FEMA twice to fix that. So I think this will also alleviate that situation there. So
Absolutely. Thank you.
That looks so good. It's just going to look so good.
This will be, with this, it'll create a continuous corridor from Sloanaker all the way to White.
I'm having flashbacks to like riding my bike from the pool to Safeway and my mother being very unhappy. So yes, this is great. Speaking of, are there bike lanes? This also accommodates like maintaining the bike lanes throughout the entire corridor. Cool.
We weren't able to go to the full 10-foot path, so we wouldn't eliminate the bike
Okay.
lanes. Yeah.
So this takes it all the way to White then?
Yes.
Okay,
Yep.
awesome.
That's awesome.
So that means we'll have a pedestrian light at Heron's Hideout, the one at
Seventh.
6th, 3rd, 7th, 3rd.
7th.
7th
Okay.
by
So
Berman
if you're going
Creekside.
south from north,
Right.
it'd be Heron's Hideout, 7th, and then you have the Hawk signal at 3rd.
Okay. Yes, got it. Mental map. Excellent. I'm imagining we'll hear from some folks who may see that as their usual commuter stretch, but I think it's so important, and I'm really excited that it's a priority of ITD to make sure that people can walk around their town safely. So that's great. Any other questions or concerns before we discuss proposed actions?
Not a one.
Yeah, I just think great job getting
Yeah,
getting the grants.
I love it. Okay. Do we recommend approval to execute said agreement?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Excellent. And do we okay with consent agenda?
I like consent agenda.
Okay. Groovy, what do you, any concerns? Bill?
Nope, this
Okay,
is fine for
consent
consent.
agenda for the TAP updates. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
thank you.
Okay, next up, item number 5, consideration of custodial services for certain city buildings with David Schott. Welcome.
Yeah.
Well, good afternoon.
Good
Thank you for having me this afternoon. Again, this is consideration of custodial services for certain city buildings. So the city published an invitation to bid for custodial services on February 11th and February 18th. Bid opening occurred on March 3rd. This was for Module 1, which is the police station, and Module 3, which is the Hamilton Indoor Recreation Center and the Egan Youth Center. Custodial services would begin May 1 of this year and continue through September of 2025. We did receive 3 bids for each module, one with Creative Cleaning Connections, one from Service Master Building Maintenance that is currently doing some of our buildings, and Viva Cleaning Company that is also doing some of our buildings currently. Creative Cleaning Connections was the low bidder for Module 1 at $72,626 throughout the entire term of the agreement. Module 3 was $107,637, again through September of 2025. Creative Cleaning Connections is currently providing custodial services at these 3 sites through a short-term agreement, and they perform satisfactorily. So our recommendation is to accept the low bid from GG Gutter Incorporated, doing business as Creative Cleaning Connections. With that, I'd take any questions or.
And is satisfactory with a small s, is that good or is that what you expected? I mean, tell me a little bit more about what satisfactory
You bet.
means, please.
It's a small S. I guess what I mean by that is they're new into the business. And so
Yes.
there's been a little bit of a learning curve
Okay.
when they've got their regular cleaners going. I think they do a pretty good job. It's if they have somebody sick, trying to find subs and stuff. But their service has been getting better and better. And so a little bit of growing pains, I guess, is what I would call it. But I have been happy with their services.
Good. That's what I needed to hear. Thank you.
Questions? It's been hard for me to remember who is helping fill what contractual needs of custodial duties within the city. So if they are, I'm also happy that we've been able to give someone an opportunity and with custodial services for something like the police station, like that's a steep learning curve, I would imagine, but I'm excited that the city has been on board with what they've been doing so far. So I'm game to accept the low bid for module 1. Any questions, concerns?
I don't have any concerns.
And they're also the winning bid for module 3. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay. Phew. Does that mean that you've got everything you need for all the facilities
For the next 2 years.
for the next 2 years?
Yep.
Okay.
We've got 3 different custodial services if this is approved.
Okay.
So we've got Viva, we've got Service Master, and now Creative Cleaning Connections to service all the city buildings for a better part of 2 years.
Okay. With contracts through the end of mostly the end of 2025. Okay. Excellent. I'm game. Any concerns?
Not a one.
Okay. Then we recommend acceptance of the low bid from GG Gutter. Excellent. Consent agenda?
Sure.
Okay. Good stuff.
Right on. Thanks, David.
Thank you. Have a
Thank
wonderful
you.
afternoon.
Thank you for making sure our facilities have what they need. I appreciate it. Okay. Number 6, proposed lot line adjustment between lots 1 and 2, block 1 of Woodbury First Edition and 1309 Slonica Drive with Amy Henrik. Welcome. Welcome.
Hi, Amy.
Thanks for having me. So before you today is the lot line adjustment for lots 1 and 2 of block 1 in Woodbury First Edition and lot address 1309 Slonica Drive. The lots proposed. One is currently 13,893 square feet, lot 2, 14,049 square feet, and 1309 Slonica currently sits at 44,601 square feet. That shows the proposed lot division or lot line adjustment. As you can see, the hashed line is the current lot line. It would adjust to. This is another example of what that would be, the existing lot line being the red line and the new lot line would be the green. Those new lot sizes would be 13,407 square feet for lot 2, 13,473 square feet for lot 1, and Slonica Drive would be increased to 45,675 square feet. Those lots 1 and 2 in Woodbury First Edition are zoned R2. Lot 1309 Slonica is zoned R1. In an R1 zoning designation, it's required to have 80 feet of frontage, total square footage of 9,600 square feet, have a front setback of 25 feet, a back setback of 20, and the sides combined total need to be 15 with a 5 minimum. R2 lots require 60 feet of frontage, 7,000 square feet in total, front setback of 20, rear setback of 20, and the sides again a total of 15. So all 3 of these proposed lots meet the requirements of their respective zoning designation. The applicant is requesting this lot line adjustment to accommodate for some landscaping. So it would be staff's recommendation today to approve the lot line adjustment request with no conditions, and I'd be happy to take any questions you have.
I have
Questions?
0 questions.
Yeah.
It's clear.
And I'm guessing it's nice to get this sorted before further construction happens on either of those lots. Questions, concerns? Okay. Proposed actions, thoughts?
Approval?
Kirby?
Consent.
Sounds good with me. Excellent. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Would you like that on the consent agenda?
Yes.
Let's go consent. Yeah. And item number 7. Yes, 7. Memorandum of understanding with the Moscow Rural Fire Department. Brian Nickerson is
Brian's
probably
on
working hard.
vacation
That's
today,
allowed to.
So
The
I'm going to
opposite.
pass just a updated minor
Excellent.
change to the agreement
Thank
that was
you.
in the packet. So over the last several months, the city and the Moscow Rural Volunteer Fire District have been working on updates to the memorandum of understanding between the city and the rural district. For history, the city provides command staff services. We provide emergency communication services to the rural fire district because we oftentimes have common membership between the volunteer fire department and then the rural members. So our command staff over the course of evenings and weekends funds respond to incidents that happen out in the rural fire district and provide that mutual aid and support between the two agencies. The rural fire district has taken over more of some of their administrative tasks and some of their training and development of their staff. So we wanted to streamline the MOU to back kind of down to the services that are currently being rendered between the two entities. So it just continues on. We are providing that command staff service, that we are continuing to provide that emergency communications, but they will fund their proportionate share of their costs. So we'll look at the number of calls in the rural district compared to total calls through Whitcomb, have them pay a proportionate share of our contract fees to Whitcomb and other maintenance expenses related to emergency communication systems and a pro rata share. The agreement goes on to identify that we'll provide access when appropriate to both entities to attend our trainings. So if the Musco Volunteer Fire Department is holding trainings, the rural members would be allowed to attend and vice versa. The one item that I'd note that's changed from what was in your packet on page 2 under section A5, it's underlined in the copy I just handed out to you. And this relates to essentially the city's responsibilities with respect to the rural district and the ability to deploy equipment and volunteer resources to entities requesting mutual aid where we don't have an existing mutual aid agreement. So this may be the situation of Kamei or some of those farther out locations. Maybe they're having a wildfire, they need a tender or need some staff. That essentially under this, the city has administrative control because Brian acts as the fire chief not only for our department but also for the volunteer or the rural fire district, I should say. There was a request to add this language with due consideration of readiness needs of the Moscow Rural Fire District, that essentially the chief has the authority to deploy equipment, volunteer resources in response to those aid requests with due consideration of readiness needs of the rural district upon approval of the district commissioners, chairman, or designee. If no communication received from the rural district after 20 minutes, the fire chief has the authority to make that decision independently. But they just wanted to add that language about with due consideration of readiness needs of the Moscow Rural Fire District. Beyond that, it's fairly basic, just highlights the services and the responsibilities of both entities. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
I do have a question, Madam Chair, if I can ask that,
Absolutely.
please. So I appreciate streamlining and clarifying because it's always good in that kind of a moment. If it is, there is a crisis, it's good to know who, what, and where, right? Do you know, and I didn't tell you I was going to ask this, so is this going to be a dramatic increase for the cost to the rural fire district, or will it be a kind of just solidifying what's already being done? I don't have an idea of.
Are you looking at just the emergency communications cost, pro rata share of that?
You were talking about pro rata
Correct.
sharing.
They've already been contributing $20,000 a year towards radio communications, but there wasn't a good foundation of how that $20,000 was established. So they wanted us to document, and they'd be more than willing to pay their fair share of the cost, but they just wanted to have it founded on
in some sort of-
something.
Okay.
So we'll look at we pay for the lease fees of the repeater on top of the Moscow Mountain. We also pay for the dispatch services that they are providing essentially to the rural district area. So a pro rata share, and I think it's going to come out to be somewhere really pretty close to what they've been paying historically. So it won't be a dramatic change. It just will have some science behind it.
Yeah, that's good. That's good to know that. Okay, that takes care of my question.
And this may have been a chief question. Do we know, are they hurt? Is the rural district hurting as
Yes.
hurting? Okay, everyone needs,
They're struggling with recruitment. They're struggling with response during incidents, just like we are.
okay.
And that's not just an Idaho issue. That is a national issue. But they are also having the same challenges that we have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know. Any further questions or concerns about the MOU?
The rural commissioners approved this at their last meeting last week, or should I say the week prior. So they've already reviewed and approved it.
Good.
With this one requested change is in your packet today.
Okay, I'm hearing we recommend approval of the updated MOU.
Agree.
Excellent. Consent agenda.
Everything's on.
Okay.
Okay, excellent.
Good call.
Bill, anything
Nothing else?
groovy? Then we are adjourned at 4:29.
Awesome.